I mean, what else have I got going on a Saturday night? Except for fucking subwoofers, man. So, somebody asked about what is the, like, if I had a demo van, what would it consist of? And so my dream demo van is a variation on servo motor technology. So probably the most well-known one is this one, which was licensed by Phoenix Gold. The guy that owned the patent or whatever came up with the idea. He actually shopped it around to several companies, one of them being Rockford. So I actually heard about this because my buddy, I told you about him, Dave Fenema Jr., his dad ran the DSM, discrete surface mount robot. He programmed it and all that shit. And so Junior, who did some of the maintenance and stuff like that for Rockford, he'd always come home with cool secrets or prototypes, or sometimes he would ask my opinion on stuff. It was kind of fun. But one of the things that he talked about was this servo motor. So this right here is a little servo motor. What it does is it twists back and forth, right? And so the way that they utilized it in this application is the old washing machine effect. So, and this is a sloped cone. Part of that is for strength. And the other part of it is curved so that it pushes and pulls the air as it twists back and forth, which is what you want it to do. And the specs on it actually were really good, but I think they only got this down to like 8 ohm. So, you know, if you wanted to, I think you just had to bridge it on like a big 2 channel or something like that. But I'm sure that the problem is finding a servo motor that would be high current, or something that would be more attuned to what kind of amplifiers are available, right? You know, typically now it's like a big Class D or something like that. So the other prototype that they came up with was, this is the best I could find. Oops, where did it go? There it is. So this was the other one. So the servo motor in this case is in the middle, and then it has an armature. This version has belts, but the version I saw, the center part would like be where my arm is, and so then it had an armature, and you could control how long the armature is, and each one would be like you could put a bearing on it or something that you know has very low loss, low noise, and then it has a push rod that then connects to the loudspeaker, and all it has to be is a cone. So, and the guy had the prototype. This was a box with like 2 15s in it. So, and then so as it turns, they both turn outwards. So the bottom one would be to the right, and then the top one would be to the left. And so as it turns, it pushes them both out, turns back, pulls them both in. So your excursion is only that much, and so you can actually control excursion by lengthening these rods. So how large the armature is. But you start to get into structural stuff, like, you know, if you make it out of steel, how heavy is it? How much drag does it put on the system? How powerful is the motor, and things like that. So the one that I had in mind was probably a pretty big, like an industrial rotary motor. And so in the van, actually, like, so the motor, size-wise, this would be like, this is the van. So it'd just be a larger box like this. So, and instead of using cones, with something that big, I would want to do like a 4x4, meaning 4 foot by 4 foot, or even 1 meter by 1 meter, hexacone aluminum faced panels. So and then you go, well, that's a square woofer, Patrick, you don't like square woofers. Right, but what's great about a square woofer is that you can make it very exacting as far as the cutout. So you'd have to put some sort of barrier in between the walls, reinforced of course, of the walls of the van. What you can do is like plexi or some sort of you know, acrylic material or something like that, and you'd probably want maybe 5 or 6 inches that you would line the inside with, and you don't even have to use a surround. So I was talking to Dan Wiggins about this. This was back in '06. If your clearance is tight enough, you can actually use an air cushion as the surround to help guide it and keep it in place. So what you'd have to worry about is how large a panel you could do, and do like one contact, because you don't want to put a bunch of rods, even though you might have to do that, or some sort of spider. If you look at the design on the the Diamond Audio, their most recent Diamond Audio D3 version, they actually got rid of the whole fucking cone and they just do a plastic like skeleton, and then it has a skin on it. So this would be the same idea, but I would use a probably at least 1 inch thick aluminum veneered or even carbon fiber, whatever stronger and lighter honeycomb panel. And so then you have 2 of those, and each one is say a meter by a meter squared, and then now you can control how much excursion. Say just let's go with 4-inch excursion. So you do a little displacement, and basically you're using the van as the enclosure. So then you have to deaden the van to make it, the large enclosure, and then it's made for just demoing, outside the van, which is kind of cool. And then of course if you sit in the van, you're like, okay, this is rad. And then you want to keep the windows in place because you can lower them or raise them to tune the box, to tune the frequency. So in my Camry, that's actually a problem. So if we're cruising, I think about 60 miles an hour, and you lower one of the windows, it creates a resonance of about 25 hertz, but it's really fucking loud and it's not like pleasant. And then if you lower both of them, it's only the rear windows. If you keep the front windows up, and then it's all, the wife hates it. I thought it was funny, cool at first, but she gets quite annoyed very quick. So believe me, she's tired of my fucking woofer shit. But it was funny. I watched this old Conan O'Brien clip, and this girl was on there, and she was like, I can't believe you guys, even at your age, still get, excited about boobs. And Conan's like, I'll be 95 years old, and if I see a pair of boobs, I'm like, haha, boobies, So it's one of those things, and the same thing goes with audio. It's just one of those things that is built into guys. It has to do with the testosterone, and it's just the way we're made. It's just what we do. Now, if you're into bikes, it'll be the same thing, or cars, or whatever it is. So, but that's the van I would love to build, just for funsies, just to experiment, and just to see what it can do. And of course, it's not something that you can sell, right? I mean, it's totally do it yourself. It's not something that you can, you'd have to like if you could buy like 10 Astro vans and then set this up, and then, have like, you'd only need like 1, maybe 2 amps. Like it depends on if you strapped them or whatever. And it also depends on the impedance of the coil that you would be using in the motor. You'd probably have to get this custom made as well. So the one that came with the, I think I said it, the Phoenix Gold one was 8 ohm. So that one you just had to bridge, and then, like on a big, like a Art Series A1200. So this was in the early 90s though, of when that came out. But this guy had the patent, and I don't know if he still does, but I don't know, it's just a very interesting concept. And the expensive part, of course, would be this. And so for me, it would just be only worth it if you did this really like big. The other thing would be good is like if this was for, like, say, either a club, or more likely like a theater, like not like a movie theater, but like a concert hall, something that big, where you could do 21s or 24s, and then 2 of those, and then one of these on the left and one of these on the right, something like that. So that would provide enough bass for a room like that, for a big auditorium. So, but there was another subwoofer that somebody made for, I think I saw it. I didn't see it at CES, but I get the flyers. I'm on the email list, and sometimes you get updates for new products and things like that. And I'll have to find that for you. It was I haven't heard anything from the company, but I'll find it. It works on not a similar technology, but I think if it was a servo controlled diaphragm that, and then they had like a really big, square, I think, diaphragm on it or something like that. I'll have to show you, but anyways, I just wanted to answer that question. I have some other stuff on my mind, but I'll save that for tomorrow. And right now I'm tired and I haven't jacked off all week, so I need some romantic time, and maybe peel a carrot and stick it in my butt or something like that. So get a little zippity-doo going on. I love you guys. Take care of each other. And who was it? Jesse James. I'll mention him. I'll give a shout out to him. Jesse James wanted to challenge me to a nerd off, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. There's so many people, intellectuals that I've met in the industry that have degrees and all kinds of things, and they're the dumbest guys. They they put on this facade of being smart, and mostly it's to dominate other guys. It has nothing to do with actual smarts or even application of those smarts. It has to do with domination. It also has to do with faking it till you make it to stay alive in that fucking engineering pool. So I met a lot of real idiots in the semiconductor industry that nobody would even admit to being making a mistake. And it was about survival of keeping your job. That's about all it was. So when somebody criticizes me, I'm all for it. I want to hear it. Like, fucking tell me. But if it's just like name calling or somebody trying to goad me or into some sort of debate or fight, I'm like, I got other things I want to do. Remember, I gotta pay rent. Rent's really big. I'm working on that. I finally got one of the sheds built, but I'll talk about it tomorrow. It rained real heavy, and so I got a lot of damage I got to pick up and clean up tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to, because it takes up a big chunk of my day, and I really just want to build subwoofers for you guys and share love and bass with you all over the world. So I love you. Take care of each other. Bye.